tell me where I can. Talking about where they can camp. Homeless campers migrate onto the highways after the daytime camping ban went into effect in Portland. I mean, does that make any sense at all? It does. Here's why. Let's get into it. Let's see what's going on in Portland now. Some have migrated into areas along Highway 26 and along I-405. A couple weeks have passed since the city of Portland's camping ordinance officially went into effect. But while some of the city's homeless are leaving sidewalks and parks, others are heading into more dangerous areas. All right. So you got a situation where I think it was last year, maybe the year before, we had so many people, homeless folks specifically from Portland, that had their lives ended or were seriously hurt because they were camping near busy streets or, basically on the freeway or on some just city road that's got a ton of traffic, major traffic flow areas that City of Portland said, no, you can't camp anywhere near the busy streets because too many of you guys are just being clipped by cars. Car goes off the roadway. We see that fairly often here in Seattle. We will see underneath bridges of interstates, that is known Department of Transportation land, the encampments pop up. And I think it's because there's an extra layer of inability for the entities that patrol these areas to sweep the encampments. And so if you stay at one of these areas, the odds are you're going to be able to stay there longer because there's more confusion as to when and how the encampment's going to be swept, who's going to do it. Because if it's Washington State or Oregon State Department of Transportation, that entity needs to follow the rules of the housing authority. Just a bunch of stuff to muck up the system. We're waiting for housing to become available, and then we'll offer it to you, and then we'll sweep you out. That's literally oftentimes what we are waiting on, right? And some entities want to say, well, it needs to be permanent housing. You've got to have housing. And these folks do not want housing. They want drugs. So, take that with a little grain of salt, but this is how we're playing the game. Some have migrated onto areas along Highway 25 and 405 where they are just feet from cars passing by. There is an encampment literally on Interstate 5. It's such a beautiful scene coming into downtown Seattle. You look off to the left and there's, Puget Sound, Elliott Bay. We've got a couple of gorgeous, massive stadiums. We've got a skyline that, pound for pound, we've got a great skyline. You look off to the right, you got the Cascade Mountains and right there in your foreground, you got a big homeless encampment and a few of the tents prior to Taylor Swift coming into town last weekend, were literally just past the guardrail on the side of the road. 15 feet away where you're driving 75 miles an hour northbound towards Canada. You look over and you're like, oh my gosh, people are living in tents right there. And they're on the freeway. They're literally on the freeway. The only thing separating them from a massive crash is, one of those metal guardrails. I did notice that the handful of tents that were right up against those guardrails, those were pushed back to a little bit beyond a nearby, cyclone metal fence. All right. We got some progress here, folks. We got some progress. But nothing like the Ewok village in the trees that I just reported on in the South Seattle encampment that had the swimming pool in it. And that encampment also, so you got Ewok village in the trees. You'll have to check out that one. You've got a dude building a system of cavernous areas that he's going to live in the ground. And then you had a swimming pool with a bunch of privacy screens being constructed at the other end of this encampment near the senior center, where the seniors across the street from all of this going on, are worried about being killed because they hear gunshots every single night and women screaming and just, shenanigans, right, that we expect from the homeless encampments. The Oregon Department of Transportation says that despite putting up signs and fencing to prevent access, hey, could you guys not come in here? This is off limits. Homeless people don't give a crap. They're addicted to drugs and they're going to do whatever they want because that's what they do. People are still getting through and setting up camp in areas under Oregon Department of Transportation's jurisdiction. The more we see people on the edge of the freeways, on the edge of the highways, the more jeopardy they're putting themselves in, said Oregon Department of Transportation's Don Hamilton. Along many of these areas bordering the freeway, Coin 6 crew members found fences that were cut open or missing panels completely and tents set up along uneven terrain. However, one woman camping under an overpass on the north end of I-405 said that since the announcement of the camping ordinance, which banned camping during the day, many feel they don't have anywhere else to go. Well, there's always the shelters, but people do not want to go there because there are rules. You can't bring drugs in there. You've got all kinds of different things going on. And more importantly, these folks just want to be out doing their own thing. They don't give a crap if it's legal or not, because that's what they're doing. If you told them where to go legally, they still wouldn't do it. So much of this is just, it's nonsense, right? It's nonsensical. There's a lot of people that broke down, basically, Alana said. They broke down because they didn't know where to go. They didn't know what to do. There is certainly some extent of that. There is some of that out there, but I think so many of these folks choose to live where they do, whether it's on the side of the freeway or it's back in a, Department of Transportation piece of land, or it's downtown in a tent on the sidewalk close to the drug activity, or it's, deep in the forest, or it's up in the trees. They're all making choices. Right? They're all making choices. Do we need more services for these folks? Absolutely. You need to put a lot of these folks into treatment. We're not doing that. We're allowing them to live wherever. That becomes on you at some point if you are the entities allowing this to happen. Yeah. This is going on, right? Right out in front of you. Alana said, everyone's reason for being on the streets is different. I'm out here because I'm on a limited income and I fall through all the cracks, she said. I have no dependents and I don't make enough to get into an apartment on my own. The number one question I would have is, are you addicted to drugs? Because that is invariably, you start digging with any of these folks. You start digging. All right, what's the problem? All right, so you've got a skill set. You are employable. Why are you out here? Well, I do a little bit of meth. Okay, well, how much? Well, every day. Are you addicted? Yeah, I am. Oftentimes, that is kind of the cycle you go through. Not always, to be fair. Not always. And I don't know if this woman here, if that's her deal, but so often the hardcore reality is people are whacked out on drugs and they don't know how to get off. And we don't have any ability to get them off, because if you ask them, hey, you want to go to treatment? They're like, yeah. But then when push comes to shove, all right, we've got a bed open for you today. We're going to put you in detox today. 10 days from now, 6 days from now, you'll be in rehab. You'll be in an outpatient program when you come out. Now, Oregon, Washington, we don't have a lot of those systems where we can get people in quickly and get them the help that they need when they want to. So they just languish in these homeless encampments, and it just becomes this free-for-all of chaos. But she wishes that those in charge would designate areas where those who are homeless can safely go, especially until there are enough shelter beds or resources available. All right. So that is in the process of happening. Mayor Ted Wheeler. I always want to say Mayor Ted Bundy. He's not Bundy. He's not terrible Ted. He is bringing in 3 encampments, 6 encampments, something like that, with a total of 750 spots available for the homeless. It's being created. Now, what I say is I will be very curious to see if those areas get filled up. Are they going to get filled up? Because so often you hear these folks saying, I don't have any interest. I am not interested in going indoors at this point in time. I just want to do my thing, especially in the summer in the Pacific Northwest. It's beautiful out. It gets a little bit hot, and Portland gets hotter than Seattle, but this is like our area to shine, because in mid-July, nobody else is outside having 80-degree weather and sunshine where you can go out and, not get just scorched to death. The rest of the country is hunkered down, trying to put up, aluminum foil on their windows so it reflects the heat going out. And we're nowhere near close to that. Coin6 reached out to the city of Portland about some of these concerns. They said the camping ordinance is not yet being enforced, and there was an emergency declaration signed last year to prohibit camping along high-speed corridors like Oregon Department of Transportation properties. Because the rates of homeless folks being taken out had gotten to a point where people are like, oh, we can't let them live next to the busy streets. They're just getting killed. I mean, so much lack of compassion for your fellow human being. They're probably going to be fine. If an 18-wheeler doesn't drive over them, they'll be fine. They'll make it into housing at some point in time. I mean, just the whole concept of letting people live willy-nilly wherever. This is just one more reason, right? People are feeling like they need to take their best option, which is the option of not getting busted, of being able to live in this encampment for a long time. And so they're living along corridors that they know are in play. There is a corridor very close to where I'm at all the time over in Seattle. It's the East Lake area of Seattle, and it's very close to the Ship Canal Bridge, which I've talked about a million times. It is under the Ship Canal Bridge, but it's on the southern side of the waterway. And I've watched, the camp be cleared probably 3 times since I've been in that area. And, it gets cleared out. They'll put up fences. They'll put up whatever. They put up a whole bunch of rocks. Probably, what would you call them? They're big rocks. They're boulders. And they've put those in, they kind of sprinkled those around. That's just such a bad look. They put those underneath. And so now you've got a whole bunch of campers and tents and stuff lining this area. And there's you can see, signs of drug use every time you drive by there. Just the garbage. 2 trips ago, I saw a handful of needles. So they're still shooting the heroin. They haven't got on the Seattle bus yet and figured out, fentanyl's where it's at. I'm going to smoke up my tinfoil because, they'll give that to you as well. So, I've watched these encampments get cleared out, repopulate, clear out, repopulate, because it takes so long to clear them out on a long-term basis. That's here in Washington. And our mayor has been going ham on clearing out encampments since he got elected. And that's one of the big things that he said he was going to do. Now, you are just playing whack-a-mole with them. You're just moving them around. But I think what Mayor Harrell has done here in Seattle, he's moved them for the most part out of the critical areas being downtown, because that's where a lot of your tax base comes from. And the downtown area has already got the massive strike against it, which is work from home. So, things are different here in Seattle than they are in Portland for sure, because we've got a mayor who is he's got a real, I hate to say it, but he's got a real what for graffiti as well. He does not like graffiti. He's like, clean that crap up. And so we've got that ongoing battle, and there's certain sections of I-5 through Seattle near where I'm talking about the tents being literally just on the other side of the metal safety guardrail on the side of the freeway heading towards Canada. Right. So you just got some wild stuff going on. Graffiti. And I think one of our graffiti, Eager just got, he got burned up in a fire. He's one of our infamous graffiti artists. Let's go with that word, right? Artists. He's a graffiti artist. He's like 38. I'm guessing, just looking at him. He's got to be 35. He's old enough to know better. Graffiti isn't art. If you're blasting up on somebody else's building that's not yours, that is just straight up vandalism. It's the city property. That's collectively all of ours. We pay for that with taxes. To have you have to clean your crap off the building after you do the graffiti thing. I'm not down with that either, right? Mayor Bruce Harrell is not down with that either, because it just looks so terrible. It's just like, why are you even doing that? I mean, it's not art. Right. I mean, some people claim that it is, but to me, it's just a bunch of scribble you're trying to show everybody, I'm the best graffiti artist out there because mine is most recognizable. But Eager, I've seen his work throughout the town. And it's my understanding he caught on fire and, went to the hospital, I think, or something along those lines. I can't remember what the story was, but yeah, we've literally got graffiti artists here that are well known enough where you know their name, right? I mean, yeah, just so bad. But homeless people are moving to areas that they know they're not going to get swept from. Department of Transportation land. Why wouldn't you? How long did it take for them to clean up the Ship Canal Bridge in Seattle? Was that years? Literally years. You had people screaming bloody murder because as this big encampment goes on underneath the freeway, they've got an elementary school. I think it was Stanford Elementary School was literally not a block, half a block up the road. So, I mean, you walk up to the front door of that school, you look over your shoulder. Yeah, you can look right down there and see a homeless encampment. So people are moving on to this type of land because their chances of staying there longer, to me, that's what they've kind of worked out. Oregon, no different, even though there's basically laws on the books that say you can't camp there. So this woman is saying, all right, tell me where I can camp. Don't tell me where I can't camp. Well, the whole thing is that you shouldn't be camping anywhere. You should be, either working towards something or figuring it out. But there's so many people that have gone down that road of, I'm just going to do a whole crap ton of drugs. I'm just going to live on the streets. It's going to be fine. And you know what? That is a game plan. It's just a game plan that annoys the heck out of the rest of us because you are breaking the law and so many other things. It's not healthy for you. You just distribute garbage all over. The list just goes on and on and on and on. But I do believe we're seeing campers migrate onto highways after this daytime camping ban. And what it is, it's more, not as much the daytime camping ban. That is probably it in Portland. That's one of the factors. I did a podcast last week about a guy who was trying to sell his house. He's like, had July 7th circled on my calendar. That's when this ban's going to start, but they're not enforcing it yet, right? They're not enforcing it, nor will they, because they don't have the ability, personnel wise, bandwidth wise, to go down and shut down all these encampments that are violating, the rules of, okay, you can't be within 150 feet of a school. You can't be in front of a store. You can't be by a driveway, yada, 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 yada. Those rules are not, the Portland police do not have the capacity to enforce all this. They do not have the ability to run around. You're 149 feet within this influence. Therefore, we got to have you move. Otherwise, we're going to hand you out a ticket. You're not doing that at all in Portland. You're not doing that at all in Seattle. You might get a homeless encampment sweep, but that's going to be the best thing you can hope for. And then you just hope that they don't immediately come back. But oftentimes that is exactly what happens. And so people trying to sell their homes, good luck with that. Although everything sells at a price, right? Everything sells at a price. So you got to figure out, all right, how much do I have to discount this bad boy in order to get in there and, get a sale, get a purchase? Probably a bunch. I was going to make a point earlier, totally forgot what I was talking about. But it probably didn't matter anyway. It's probably just me, saying stuff. But this is where we sit. All right, we got booted out of that last place. Where are we going to go? ODOT. That's where we're going to go. And then they go, right? See you guys soon. Crazy times we live in where we track the migration of illegal homeless encampments. That's literally what we're doing. All right. So make sure you're subscribed. You've hit that notification bell so that when I tell you where the next place they're going to go or have already gone, you'll get notified because you don't want to miss that critical information, do you? I didn't think so. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much if you already have. I will catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.